Well, hello there Whisky folk, and welcome back to the Whisky Friend with me, Alan. Today's review is going to be on the Clynelish 14. It's a whisky I've been getting to know over the last few weeks, over the Christmas period, over New Year. I've been enjoying it. Just thought I'd share a little bit with you today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Clynelish Distillery, which has a little bit of an interesting past, and I'm going to talk about the whisky, which again is one of those challenging whiskies. It's challenging for a beginner, and it's even challenging for an established malt head. I'm going to tell you a little bit why. Today, the Clynelish 14, beautiful. I think there's a little bit of colour in there. Don't think there's much, and I think if it's chill filtered, it doesn't say on the bottle, so I can assume that there's some sort of chill filtering going on with it. It's bottled at 46% ABV, and it's the distillery. Clynelish Distillery is owned by Diageo, as in a lot of distilleries in Scotland are owned by them. I've got to give Diageo some credit though for the presentation in this. It's a fantastic whisky, and without any further ado, I'll just crack on with it. Clynelish Distillery is established in 1819. I was going to try and memorise this, guys, but you'll probably understand when I read this. Even after reading it, I'm still a little bit confused. So let's show you what I mean. The original distillery was built in 1819, adjacent to the new Clynelish. The original Clynelish closed in the year 1968, as the new Clynelish distillery had been built in 1967. They ran side by side as Clynelish A and Clynelish B. Shortly after closing the original site, due to not being able to keep both running financially, the original distillery was reopened in May 1969 and until July 1983 and renamed Brora Distillery, producing a heavily peated whisky to supply for blending. Does that make sense? Where are we now? Brora whisky is now one of the most rare and desired whiskies in the world, costing around £1,000 per bottle. Wow, that's a lot of money for a bottle of whisky. Clynelish has a strong connection with Johnnie Walker blended whisky for many years. Around 95% of the spirit is used in Johnnie Walker, mostly commonly found in the gold label reserve. So wow, I still can't get my head around this, but that's the distillery. There is plans now, Diageo now have planning permission to reopen Brora once again, and also Port Ellen. So there's two closed distilleries that they've now planning to reopen. So it'll be really interesting to see what sort of whisky comes out of Brora and what sort of prices comes out of Brora. So enough about the distillery. You're only really here for the whisky anyway. So let's crack on with the nose. Straight up, it's briny. You would expect that as a coastal distillery. It's quite salty. It smells quite waxy, you know, like one of those kind of wax jackets, maybe a damp wax jacket. It smells a bit like that. But as you get into it, and it opens up, there's some fresh fruit notes, bit of green apple, some apricot, and just a touch of banana. There's lots going on with this nose, guys. Wow, it's changing all the time. Now got a dry vanilla, some herbal. And I've got a touch, a bit of mineral note. Let's try to put my finger on it. It's quite chalky. And then in the background, I've got toffee. And there's some spice in the background. I'm thinking ginger. But what I've found, guys, with trying this over the last few weeks, it's one of those, every time I come to it, I get a different set of notes. So I think it's one of those, it's a really, really complex whiskey, and I think it depends on your mood, is how you react to this whiskey. And I know that sounds a bit funny, but I see I get different notes in different times when I drink it and when I nose it. And again, it smells quite sweet and dry at the same time. Yeah, quite complex that. Legs are great. Don't know if you can see those. Got a nice set of legs. Anyway, guys, let's taste it. Slanch. Aye, that's nice. Initially, it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on. It was quite drying initially, but now after about 20 seconds, after it coats your whole mouth, it's quite mouth-watering. That fresh fruit is up there in the front. Apples, banana, and then the spice is kicking in. It's quite spicy. Whole mouth is tingling, and it's always changing. On arrival, I say it's quite soft and subtle on arrival, and then there's just a burst of flavour. I say it's fresh fruits. Spice is now quite prominent. There's a touch of mint, kind of spearmint, and that herbal note's definitely there. Let's try some more. The mouthfeel is quite oily, and that waxy note that I got on the nose is definitely on the palate. As I say, there's some tropical fruit there as well now. Got a bit of melon. It's mega complex, this, guys. And what on the nose and on the palate, you get everything. It's sweet, it's sour, it's savoury, it's dry, it's spicy. This is one complex strand, guys, and I can understand why people find it challenging. I'm actually finding it quite challenging over the last couple of weeks, because I get different notes. So when I take some tasting notes and then I come back to it a couple of days later, it's changed and it's different. I'm getting probably about a third of the way down the bottle, and as the bottle's going down, it's been changing as well. And I must admit, it's getting better. I've got little kind of, I think it's a kind of pepper note. I think it may be white pepper. There's definitely some ginger in there, maybe a touch of sage. So there's a lot of spice on this whiskey. So let's do a little bit of it on the finish, guys. Let's see how it does. Wow. This is a great whiskey, guys. For the money, it's super value. I think I paid about £45 for this. I've had a few bottles in the past, and I think with this whiskey as well, I think there is a little bit of batch variation. I think this one's quite a nice one. I've had the one before, it was a super one. I've not had many bad ones. There's ones maybe it's not quite as challenging as the other ones, but the last two bottles have been absolutely fantastic. The one prior to this was probably a little bit better, so I think there is some batch variation. It's super well balanced. The finish is kind of dominated with the kind of fresh fruit, and the spice really takes over towards the end. It's quite a long finish on this, and there's a little touch of peat in the background, but not much. So there's a little bit there. I say it's super complex. It's a fantastic whiskey. I'll just do one more sip just to have a sip. Yeah, it's wonderful, wonderful whiskey, guys. Just to conclude, it's ever changing. I would not give this to a beginner. I think a beginner would just be totally confused. I say it's super complex. It's mega complex. It's one of those. I think Clynelish has been described as one of those whiskies that you either love it or you hate it. I've actually been in some groups in the past where we're sitting drinking it. Some of us get it, some of us don't get it, and I think that's one of the mysteries of Clynelish. I think that's what makes it such an interesting whiskey. But if you haven't tried it, I'd recommend that you try it. Understand though that it's one of those you might not quite get it straight away. Try it, leave it, come back to it. I'm sure you'll get there eventually once you spend some time with this bottle. So that's me, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you found it interesting, and I'm gonna get off now, and it's until the next time. I'm Alan. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.